This morning when I woke up, I realized that I needed to add something to my Instagram because my granddaughter turns 2 today. And one and one of the things that I said on my Instagram post was that there aren't words created to describe what I feel for my granddaughter. I just couldn't put it into words to you. I could try and try, but you'd never really understand what my heart is like for her. And that's how I feel today about our speaker and worship leader. I don't know how to put him into words. I can tell you about him when he was here at CAK, when he walked the halls that you're walking, when he played on the sports fields, when he was in class. David was just excellence. He poured himself into all the aspects of his life here at CAK. He cherished being here. He valued being here. He's just one of those people who, it didn't matter if you were a freshman when he was a senior, he loved on you as often as he could. And when I think of him, he's just the best of the best. He's just the best of the best, and we loved him so much. David did make a 5 on the AP Calculus exam, just saying. How many state soccer championship rings do you have? 2, okay. Just a friend to everybody. And David today has a story to tell you that is extravagant love, extravagant generosity, and extravagant forgiveness. And the way he has trusted and believed in our Lord to walk with him through a really, really rough time in his life, he is going to open his heart to you, and he's going to share some of the rough times with you when it was really tough to wonder, what's my life going to be like, and how is this going to work out for me? So I hope that you will listen to him and take his words into your heart and let them penetrate and just speak to you. And before I let him come up here, I'm going to pray for us.
I want to hug you.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
She is an awesome person.
Oh, cut it
They're
out.
all awesome to your side.
Yeah, that's okay. Let's pray, guys. Father, I thank you so much for David. I thank you for the way he has allowed this story to create in him a new person, Father. I thank you for how he has trusted you and allowed people to come into his life and speak to him and help him get through this, Lord. And thank you for providing that for him. Thank you that you gave David a heart that was able to forgive in the most meaningful way, maybe. Father, I thank you for these students who are here today. I hope they know how much we love them and how we want them to succeed and also be excellence and love you, Father, and let you lead them in their lives. We love you, and it's in your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Davis. Might want to mute this real quick. I'm going to plug it in. Guys, it is so weird being here. I mean, I graduated in 2010, which probably makes me sound kind of old, but at the time I felt young. At the time I was young. Anyway, I will tell you about all this journey, but for now we're going to start with some worship. So if you don't mind standing with me, that would be great. How great the chasm that lay between us, how high the mountain I could not climb. In desperation, I turned to heaven and spoke your name into the night. Then through the darkness, your loving kindness tore through the shadows of my soul. The work is finished, the end is written. Jesus Christ, my living hope. Who could imagine? Who could imagine So great a mercy, what heart could fathom such boundless grace? The God of ages stepped down from glory to wear my sin and bear my shame. The cross has spoken, I am forgiven. The King of Kings calls me his own. Beautiful Savior, I'm yours forever. Jesus Christ, my living hope. Hallelujah, praise the one who set me free. Hallelujah. Death has lost its grip on me. You have broken every chain. There's salvation in your name, Jesus Christ, my living hope. Then came the morning. Then came the morning that sealed the promise. Your buried body began to breathe. Out of the silence, the roaring lion declared the grave has no claim on me. Jesus, yours is the victory. Yeah. Sing hallelujah. Hallelujah. Praise the one who set me free. Hallelujah. Death has lost its grip on me. You have broken every chain. There's salvation in your name, Jesus Christ, my living hope. Jesus Christ, my living hope. Come thou fount of every blessing, tune my heart to sing thy grace. Streams of mercy never ceasing, call for songs of loudest praise. Teach me some melodious sonnet sung by flaming tongues above. He's the mount I fixed upon it, mount of thy redeeming love. Here I raise my Ebenezer, hither by thy help I've come, and I hope by thy good pleasure safely to arrive at home. Jesus sought me when a stranger, wandering from the fold of God. He to rescue me from danger interposed his precious blood. Oh, to grace, how great a debtor daily I'm constrained to be. Let thy grace, Lord, like a fetter, bind my wandering heart to thee. Prone to wander, Lord, I feel it, prone to leave the God I love. Here's my heart, oh, take and seal it for thy courts above. Here's my heart, oh, take and seal it for thy courts above. don't want to go too high. Okay. Back in the moment, guys. Back in the moment.
God of creation, there at the start, before the beginning of time. With no point of reference, you spoke to the dark and fleshed out the wonder of light. And as you speak, 100 billion galaxies are born. In the vapor of your breath, the planets form. But the stars were made to worship, so will I. I can see your heart in everything you've made. Every burning star, fire of grace. If creation sings your praises, so will I. God of your promise, you don't speak in vain, no syllable empty or void. For once you have spoken, all nature and science follow the sound of your voice. And as you speak, 100 billion creatures catch their breath, evolving in pursuit of what you said. If it all reveals your nature, so will I. I can see your heart in everything you say. Every painted sky, canvas of your grace. If creation still obeys you, so will I. So will I. So will I. God of salvation, you chased down my heart through all my failure and pride. On a hill you created, the light of the world, abandoned in darkness to die. And as you speak, 100 billion failures disappear. Where you lost your life so I could find it here. If you left the grave behind you, so will I. I can see your heart in everything you've done. Every part designed in a work of art called love. If you gladly chose surrender, so will I. I can see your heart a billion different ways. Every precious one, a child you died to save. If you gave your life to love them, so will I. So will I.
God, thank you so much for your creation and for all the blessings that you've given us. Help us not to take a single day for granted, and to trust you with whatever's going on. God, make a purpose in any of our broken stories, that your name be glorified. Amen. You guys can have a seat. Woo. Good morning, CAK. I can't tell you how good it is to be here. Seriously, like all this deja vu. Like, do you guys still have Cafe PM? Yeah? It's tonight? What are we doing later? Maybe we should come. Oh my gosh, that's like where I started playing music in front of people. That was my first performance, was like right here. So, full circle, we're back. We're back and we're happy about it. So my middle name is Francisco. My last name is actually Platalero. I don't know if you know any Plataleros, but kind of like a Knoxville family. until I moved, whatever. Okay, so I want to tell you guys my journey because it's been insane, and I hope that you can take something from it and that it empowers you and encourages you. But first, we're going to go back a little bit to when I was y'all's age. There's me doing it's photoshopped, wakeboarding. And I loved being active. I mean, it was wakeboarding, it was mountain biking, it was soccer. Check it out, guys. CAK. I played here, literally at this school. And yes, we won 2 state championships. It was awesome. Such a awesome experience. That was one of my favorite things for sure. But you know, as I'm finishing high school, I'm sure you guys are thinking about college. Well, so was I. And I was a nerd. So I ended up going to college and studying these things. They're called, anyone know? Breadboard, circuit board? Yeah, so you build things with them. Actually, like your cell phone has a very, very tiny version of that inside it, a bunch of them. Anyway, you know, I graduated. This one's not photoshopped. This is real. And yeah, I went to UT, actually, which is just down the road. The problem was, during college, I was kind of torn. Like I said, I started playing music back here, actually, and I got more and more into it. In college, I formed a band called Maplehurst, and you can still find our stuff online, actually. But there's me, short-haired Dave, playing guitar. Well, not playing guitar, just holding a guitar, kind of like I am now. Wow. Anyway, not much has changed. And we had so much fun. We had so much fun. So at the end of college, I'm torn. Do I do music? Do I do engineering? Do I do both? Do I do neither? That wasn't really on the table. But yeah, this first song I'm going to play you, well, I've already played you some worship, but this is a song called Brave Desire, and I wrote it in that season when I was trying to figure all this stuff out. Like, I don't quite feel brave enough to do music. Like, I've been told you can't do music as a career, one of many can'ts that I had to defeat. So anyway, Brave Desire.
Leave the light, 'cause I can't take the dark of night. It's sad, but I don't have the might to make it to another break of dawn. Don't you leave, 'cause if you do, I'll never be satisfied with only me, living in this house built for two. 'Cause I'm scared to live, but I'm scared to die, scared to put my life on the line. I wanna take a chance sometime, balance on the wire, my brave desire. 'Cause I have been holding on to fleeting things so tight, to the things I know that will not last. But I wanna open up these clenching fists, and I wanna live like I've got love to give, 'cause I'm giving in to this brave desire. Learn to live, give yourself a chance to give, leave behind your fatal fears, and taste the freedom on the other side.
Thank you very much. It's so crazy to be singing here. It is like, just imagine like 10 years from now, like next year's my 10-year reunion, and then you're like back here. Okay, anyway, so I go with my dad, who is obviously not pictured here, to Europe. Yeah, I know, right? I don't know why I picked this picture, but we did the Camino de Santiago, which is actually this trail. We made some friends along the way. These are some of the friends, and yeah, definitely not dad. So I'm trying to figure all this out. Like, do I do the music thing? Do I do the engineering thing, right? So I come back and I'm like, gotta do music. So this is my home studio set up over in North Knoxville, kind of near downtown. I just set up my studio and I'm scrambling around for a job because, guys, I didn't have any support anymore. It was like, all right, bro, you want to do music? Good luck. I mean, it was like a good luck, loving, but still. All right, I got to figure this out. So first month goes by, I'm scrambling, like coffee shop job, restaurant job, anything. No one would hire me with an engineering degree. So it's kind of silly. But I didn't have a job other than just doing music. And so at the end of the first month, I'm like kind of scared that I'm going to die. But I ended up not dying. I made more money than I spent that first month, just recording projects for people, playing music. So I was like, wait, this might actually work. So I ended up doing that for 2 years here in Knoxville, Tennessee, recording some local artists. I don't know if any of you know Briston Maroney. Anyway, total side note. At the end of 2 years, I was like, I don't know, it's time for a move. Love Knoxville. I've been here for 24 years, but I gotta move. So where was the most logical place? Nashville, because they had an audio engineering school that I was going to do called the Blackbird Academy. One of the best studios in Nashville. It's Martina McBride's husband's studio with like 6 different studios, and they have a class. So I was going to go do the class. And so we packed up the U-Haul. There's my actual dad, not the dog, the guy on the left. The dog is Sweet Boy, also known as Mason. But so we packed up the U-Haul and moved to Nashville. This is me and Mason. He would come in my backpack when I would bike. So I would actually bike around town with Mason, his little ears flapping in the wind right by my face. Oh, he loves it. So, and you can see I have this helmet. And one of the first things I want to talk about actually is the helmet. Because, I knew it was important. I had heard, you know what, you got to wear your helmet. Thanks, Mom. Okay, whatever. But, I did. But, when I moved to Nashville, I actually forgot it. So it was here in Knoxville at my parents' house, and I was kind of freaked out because I was biking on the streets in Nashville on a pedal bicycle without it, and I was being really careful, but I was also really scared. So 3 weeks go by, and I come home for a visit, and I am in my parents' house. I'm like, I got to get the helmet. But we keep talking, and sure enough, I forget the helmet again. And I'm like, oh, my gosh. Well, so I wasn't like, oh, my gosh, yet, because I had forgotten it. But in the car, I was like, oh, my gosh, wait, the helmet. It was like a voice popped in my head. Call it the voice of God. Call it whatever you want. But it was like, go get the helmet, command, direct. And I'm like, yes, Your Majesty. And so I turned around, and I got the helmet. And 3 days later, guys, is when everything changed. And John McBride, the owner of the studio, talks about it in this next video.
I get a call one afternoon, and it was Karma, and she said one of her students, David Francisco, was riding his bike, and some girl was texting or something and ran a red light and hit him.
We really didn't know until we got to the hospital, and then they said complete injury from the waist down, and will he walk? No. I mean, on our paperwork it says neurological recovery unlikely. We all just broke down and cried pretty hard.
What was going through your mind?
How are we going to get through this?
So I don't remember any of it, but I do remember waking up in the hospital and being like, why are my legs off the bed? Had this neck brace on, and I'm like, what? Why are my legs off the bed? And my parents were already in Nashville at the time. They had already driven the 3 hours that it is, and they were like, they are on the bed. And I'm like, what? So I looked down, and sure enough, my legs are sitting there on the bed. I just couldn't feel them. Turns out that, like John said in the video, I had been biking in the last intersection before I got back to my apartment, which is only a mile away. I'm beside the cars, light turns green, I start going beside the car in the front. And that car slams on their brakes because they could see what I couldn't see, which was a car just not even stopping, not even slowing down at the red light that ended up T-boning me. I got a nasty scar here. I was bleeding out on the road. I would be dead if a Jimmy John's delivery driver had not stopped and I know, right? Go Jimmy John's. Had not stopped and put a tourniquet on my arm to literally stop the bleeding. So, this is the first thing I actually remember. That's just what I've been told about the crash, and there were 9 witnesses. But, so I had a spinal cord injury, and if you don't know what that means, they basically have to put a bunch of screws. Those are still in there. Technically, my net value went up $8,000 that day, the value of my body. Only I can make that joke, right? So I had no movement, no feeling from the waist down because of it. And this is the helmet. If I had not been wearing that, I would not be talking to you guys today. The story would be over right here. So I don't really need to say anything other than here I am and there that is, and you should probably wear a helmet. And then here's the bike. The left pedal is actually completely sheared off of the bike. I don't know if you can see it there, but the car, when it T-boned me, I guess it ripped that pedal completely off. Somehow my leg didn't have any broken bones, my left leg. But anyway, guys, I had all these dreams going to Nashville, and 3 weeks later, they were all just crumbled on the ground. I thought I lost everything. I thought I lost my independence. I just made this move to a new city. I'm independent. I got this. That was shattered. I thought relationships would be over because, I'm completely dependent on others right now just to survive. Why would I even think about relationships? And all these thoughts, by the way, were over months of time. This happened in 2016, so April of 2016. Tomorrow, Saturday, the 27th, is the 3-year mark since then. I thought, who's going to want to be in a relationship with me? Not even that as much as I don't want someone to be in a relationship with me where they have to take care of me and I'm pretty helpless. That seems like I would be stifling someone. So, and then I thought I lost any chance of a music career because of that independence, because of the mobility and all that. So in the early days, the important thing was that I was not alone. So here's John McBride in the hospital. He waited until my parents got there, which was insane. Busy guy, waited 3 hours until my parents got there. Just incredible. Some friends at, you guys probably know this, K-Brew, anyone downtown? Okay, you've been there. Yeah, you guys are hip. So there's me living in a wheelchair and getting acclimated to friends. You can see my super skinny legs. Not much has changed. And then the music community actually supported me as well. This is an event called the Pensado Awards that I'll tell you more about later, where they invited me to California to be honored at this music awards show for the people at the top of the industry. So all the encouragement I received was such fuel to me to just I have to keep living, because it was dark. I mean, there were times when I'm I can see, I was never suicidal, but I was I can see why someone would think there's no hope or there's no purpose to living. And this next song goes out to the people who were there for me in the early days. It's called Love Is What Keeps Us Alive. And I'm going to get a drink of water.
What if it's a dream? What if I wake up and the pain has disappeared? Would I be the same? Or would my life be changed? 'Cause dreams are tempting to believe, convincing at the time they happen. But dreams don't change reality or the depths that I have seen, but I wish they would. Strength is a man who is broken. Hope is a friend in the night. Joy is the sun that follows the rain. Love is what keeps us alive. I said love is what keeps us alive. What if this is real? What if I wake up and my body never heals? Would I be okay? Or would I lose my strength? 'Cause days that never seem to end, this body is my prison and my sentence. I'm tired of trying to pretend this war that never ends isn't happening. And strength is a man who is broken. Hope is a friend in the night. Joy is the sun that follows the rain. Love is what keeps us alive. I said love is what keeps us alive. Somebody loves you, somebody needs you, feeling alone in the pain of it all. Tell them you love them, or even just hold them. A simple embrace can change a heart. What if it's a dream? What if I wake up and the pain has disappeared? Would I be the same? I'll never be the same.
Thank you very much. So I'm like down here, you know, crying every day, just trying to survive, like thinking, is this real? Like, what's life even going to be like? And I had to actually turn off the long-term thoughts, because those were the ones that would just lead you into a spiraling depression. I had to turn those off, and that was a choice. And speaking of choices, I had two options from that point. I could either give up and say, I mean, the doctors had said neurological recovery unlikely, something like that in the video. Basically, you're never going to walk again from the doctor's perspective. And I'm like, wow, I could give into that and say, you know, that's what I'm going to have to do. I could be mad at the driver because like 9 witnesses said that the driver just completely ran the red light. It was her fault. And I could just hold that anger and that resentment. And I could just not work in therapy, like not try to find purpose or anything. And then the other option is I could find purpose even in a wheelchair. I could go to therapy and work every day for 8 months, and I could forgive the driver just so the weight is off of me, and as well as her, and all these ways bring life. All of those choices are, that's what I say. I just say brings life, because I think as believers we're supposed to bring life. And it's so clear that I mean, you'll see it later too, but as God has kind of worked through this whole story, it's just so clear that when you live out his kingdom as he intended it, that like it brings life. The world is just a harmonious, I mean, not always, but like things are redeemed, all of this. So I chose the second option, and it made all the difference. So this is a video of me kind of for the next 8 months going from the wheelchair. You'll see my first foot movement at one point, and then getting into a walker that's suspended to the ceiling with, all my weight into my arms. And anyway, check it out. It was a long 8 months, but in that season it was so easy to give up and so easy to just say, this is, you know what, I can't do this. I don't know what's going to happen with my legs. They're not supposed to come back much, but I just don't see a reason to go forward. And guys, the victory for me is not even the walking as much as it is finding purpose. And that purpose, we all have a purpose. And that's something else I wanted to encourage you with is you can find a purpose not only in the good things, like winning the tournament or getting the grades or going to the college, or I don't know what your guys' purpose is, but you can find a purpose in your suffering. And this quote is from a book that I read in that season by a man called Viktor Frankl. If you're going through something, I highly recommend this book because he totally changed my perspective on suffering. He survived the Holocaust, first of all, and then wrote a book about the psychology of what he went through when he was going through the worst torture that is pretty much humanly possible. And it encouraged me so much thinking, if this guy can find a meaning in his suffering, then maybe I can too. And I want to give that to you guys as well, because although I may not have the worst suffering possible, I've been through the ringer. And I know that you can find a meaning in it. And not only that, but it ceases to be suffering. And what does that mean? It doesn't mean that I hide from what happened to me. It doesn't mean that I try to avoid it at all costs and say, you know what, if I get as far away from this as possible, that's going to be success. I think the more powerful thing is to embrace it. Embrace the difficulties that you face in your life and to say, like, this is part of me, and I can find a meaning in it that will actually make me stronger. And guys, I've become so much stronger by going through this injury than I ever was before, honestly. And it's been, it hasn't been easy, but it's been choices, and it's been fighting every day, and it's been trying to live into what God has put in us, and that's ways that bring life. And so I did find purpose. I was independent again. I actually got invited on a full ride to go back to the audio engineering school that I was attending. They were even willing to build wheelchair ramps for me. They were like, dude, come on back. Like, that's how much encouragement I received. And I would encourage you that if you know someone in a situation, they're just going through it, like, you can be that for them. Even if it's, in that last song I say, a simple embrace can change a heart. And I mean it. Like, I didn't even want words. I say less words, more hugs now. But I didn't want your words because you didn't know what I was going through. Like, I was going through a spinal cord injury. I couldn't move anything. Not only that, bowel and bladder function's gone. Not only that, back pain every day. Like all this stuff. I didn't need words. I needed hugs and just to know that people were there. And that's one of the most powerful things I can give to you is just be there. Don't worry about what you're going to say. You don't have to say anything. I think it's human tendency to try to like come up with words to like tie the bow on a conversation or a situation or anything, and you don't have to do that. You can just sit in it. You can just be in it and say, I'm here with you. I love you, if that's appropriate. And more than, speaking of that, more than finding the purpose and being able to go back to that audio school with the forearm crutches, I found love. I wish Christy was here with me, guys. She is literally working at Disneyland right now. So, like, props to her. So, she and I probably shouldn't have done that yet. Whatever. We're going to leave it there. She and I had met one time before the car crash. And basically, it was here in Knoxville at the Bijou. I was playing with a band called William Wild, and she came to the show with a mutual friend of mine, Gideon. We ended up connecting that night, not like anything more than like acquaintances, because she lives in California. Like I'm about to move to Nashville, all this stuff. But she moves to California, and Gideon gave her one of my first EPs. And she listened to it all the time. She calls it Sing Along in the Car with Dave. And so then when she heard about the crash a month or two later, she's like, oh my gosh, that guy that I've been listening to every day, she would say that greatly impacted her because she was actually going through a really rough relationship breakup at the time, which I knew nothing about. But my music was encouraging her. So when she heard about the crash, she was like, man, this guy. So she ended up writing me one of the best letters I received in the hospital from a girl I met one time. And I kid you not, I told my parents, I'm like, guys, this letter, I met this girl one time, and it's probably one of the most encouraging ones I've gotten. It was incredible. I think God prompted her. She woke up at like 4 a.m. and just started writing and then sent it. And it was like, okay. Yeah, there was a lot of divine intervention, if you will. But so I get the letter. I'm in the hardest season of my life. I'm not responding to any letters because staying awake is hard enough. But 4 months later, when I got invited to that awards show that I, walking out with a walker in the slide a few slides ago, I Facebook messaged her, and it was like the worst. I don't know, girls, you've probably had a guy say something like this to you. If he says this, he's probably interested. Yo, first of all, been meaning to thank you for about forever. Also, I'm in LA. Are you around? Like that bad. Just so indirect and like run-on sentence, trying to act like I don't care. I wasn't, and I wouldn't even say I was that into her, but I was like trying to not make a move. Anyway, okay. So she was in Guatemala, but she came back the day before I left. So we ended up getting coffee, and then a month later, and my dad was like wingman during that session because he slowly inserts himself into this conversation I'm trying to have with a girl, just a friend, but he's like, what are you doing next month? We're going to this music festival. And I'm like, Dad, come on, Dad. And she's like, oh, I've never been to a music festival. And so then it was like done. So this is from the music festival. We got to know each other super well and super quick and like talked about all the things, farting and all the nasty things. But this is like, there was dancing going on at one point. So these are my dance moves in the wheelchair. Two house, watch it. Oh, 1, 2, oh, enough. So, I just thought that I'm better dancing in a wheelchair than I am in real life. Anyway, so it was this beautiful time to just get to know this girl. I didn't know what was going on. I was like, I like her, but like we're just here for the festival. Like we were already planning to go to this festival, but she came with us, and she's really cool. And so after the festival, I was like, we should definitely get to know each other better. And so we started texting, and I got better than the yo, first of all. And, getting to know each other, started calling, started FaceTiming, and eventually it's like, okay, one of us has to make a trip. So she actually came to Tennessee, And by that time, I had actually already written her a song, the next song that I'm going to play for you. It's called She Makes Me Want to Sing. And it's not a love song because, like I said, we didn't love each other at the time yet. But it was just such a beautiful picture of seeing past the artificial, like seeing past the facade, seeing past the wheelchair, and seeing who I was despite and even with the wheelchair. Like I said, we're not trying to get rid of the wheelchair. We're trying to say, this is who I am, and seeing past that. And I was just so impacted by that I wrote the best song I've ever written. It's called She Makes Me Want to Sing. Let me put it up. Literally first thing off of the airplane, I'm like, we get to the place we're staying, and I'm like, can I play you a song? She's like, yes. She's been dying to hear me sing in person because I've never sang in person for her. And then I'm like, I should warn you, it's about you. And she's like, oh. She was not like that, sorry. Okay, here we go, song.
I haven't told her how I'd lost the hope to love or be a lover. I haven't shown her all the tears I've had to cry to survive. She doesn't see my weakness, she sees a fighter. She doesn't see my prison walls, she sees an open field. She doesn't know that I am nervous to hold a heart like hers in a hand like mine. It's so contagious, the way she dances to my songs and sings along, which she does. It's understated, the way she holds me. I am tall and strong. She doesn't see my weakness, she sees a fighter. She doesn't see my prison walls, she sees an open field. She doesn't know that I am nervous, but she makes me wanna sing. Oh, she makes me wanna sing. Oh, yeah, she makes me wanna sing. Oh, yeah, she makes me wanna sing. It's just the way she believes in me.
She is so awesome. I wish she was here today, but like I said, she's over in California. So, I mean, yeah, at that point I was kind of done. I'm like, this is probably the girl. You can't write that, and then, anyway, you can, but don't. So, yeah, she actually told her mom, like, if he writes me a song, I'm going to say yes right then and there. She doesn't have a country accent. I don't know why I did that. I'm back in Tennessee. Okay, so you know what I haven't talked about yet is the driver. So, well, to kind of tie the bow on the Christy story, we dated long distance for 7 months, FaceTiming every day. And by the way, that song that I just played is on Spotify if you listen to things online, so go check it out. But we got married in February of 2018. So it was like 2017, went back to school, proposed, moved to California. We got married, and the rest is history. So the driver, I heard way back in the hospital, like the very beginning, like they're explaining what happened, and I'm like, what happened exactly? So there was a driver that ran a red light and T-boned me, and here I am, and I'm in a lot of pain. I'm on a lot of pain drugs. Like, what? Is she okay? She was really distraught, is what they told me, and I was like, is she okay? Like, I've got people around me. Tell her that it's okay, that I forgive her. And at the time, I wasn't fully with it. I remember my parents even being like, let's wait a bit. And I'm like, you're probably right, because this is kind of permanent. So anyway, but I forgave her then, and as I continued to recover, like I said, I chose life. I chose to forgive over and over as I kind of learned new things about what it meant, like transferring in and out of cars, having accidents, and like learning how this really was gonna affect my life. I continue to choose forgiveness. And guys, that made so much of a difference. One, it freed my energy to be focused on recovery. It freed me to be able to say, all right, like, there's nothing holding me back. I'm going to do this therapy, and I'm going to like get stronger, and it's going to be what it is. But why would I hold this against the driver? And I get it. Like, your natural tendency is, this is unfair, right? I was cheated of my life and cheated of my dreams, or so I thought. And so, anyway, a year later, I ended up meeting up with her because I had forgiven her. I was back in Nashville, and she was in Nashville. And this is actually from me interviewing her almost a year after the crash.
Really got to a low point in my life where I couldn't function without using drugs. Shortly after the accident occurred, I was living with so much guilt and shame from what had happened. I couldn't leave my room, was in a really terrible place, and just couldn't believe that this had happened to another human being, and really couldn't face myself. And so I ended up overdosing and almost dying. Or I guess I did die, but I came back to life. It was terrifying, but I also knew that God had given me another chance, the same way that you gave me another chance when you said, I forgive you. The first time I met you was the most amazing experience. I'll never forget it. Walking into a coffee shop, you opening your arms and saying, bring it in. It's like, that was amazing. That was just like, oh my God, this is David.
Like, why? Why did we meet there? Of all the coffee shops, you guys know Nashville has hip coffee. Anyway, but seriously, it was like a movie. I walk into this coffee shop, and she's expecting me, first of all, to roll in. But I walk in, and she gets up. We like walk towards each other, and I'm like, this is it. This is what it means to give forgiveness, and I think we're called to that. We embraced for like 30 seconds. It was like a movie. I'm not kidding. And, we just talked for the next bit. Until then, I didn't know that she was actually on drugs and had tried to kill herself. I didn't know any of that. But she woke up in the hospital like I did and was like, I guess I've got this new life. We didn't press charges. We actually sent her to community service and then to a halfway house to, get clean. And guess what? Where I could have been angry and sent her to prison, she'd probably still be there. I don't know. Even if she was out, she'd probably still be on drugs, probably trying to take her life again. It allowed her the freedom to recover, and she's been clean for almost 2 years now. So, give Freya a round of applause. I think it's so cool to just see, God's ways bring life. Forgiveness brings life. And she would not be alive without that. And so I felt honored and privileged to be able to even give that to her, as well as give myself the freedom from the anger, from the resentment. So guys, like, I don't know your situation. Maybe you're needing to forgive someone for something. Maybe that was intentional. I know for her it wasn't intentional. I can't tell you that it's okay. I can't tell you that they were justified. And forgiveness is not saying that it's okay. Forgiveness is just saying, I'm not going to let this weight hold either of us down. We're going to move past this. And it's so freeing. Seriously, like, even practically, just think about how much better it is that we have this picture instead of me at a graveside. And this picture, she came to our wedding. There's my wife, Christy. She came to our wedding reception here in Knoxville and got to, like, meet our family. And it was so beautiful to see her, like, talking with Christy's dad and just all this stuff where it could have gone so much the other way. So there's all that. There's kind of my story. But I also, because I'm here to talk about it and because I think it's really important, there is a lot that could have gone differently had she made a better choice not to drive distracted. In her case, it was driving kind of in the wrong state of mind. We don't know if she was on drugs at the time. She said that she was hearing voices and off of her bipolar medication. And so, like, we don't know what was going on, but she just totally blew through the light. And guys, it is so crazy. Like, it couldn't have gone, it might not have gone this way. If I hadn't had the helmet, I wouldn't be here, and I would be a stat. So I wanted to share these with you. A couple that are interesting. 5 seconds is the average time your eyes are off the road while texting. And when you're traveling 55 miles an hour, that's enough time to go the length of a football field blindfolded. I know that I never thought about, like, I'm just, like, sending a quick text, whatever. Guys, it's so much more than you think. Even, like, just looking. Like, the other day, I went to go turn the air conditioner on, and all the cars had all of a sudden stopped at a red light, like it had just turned red at the moment that I looked down. And that could have been one of these things, and it wasn't even my phone. But how distracting are phones, right? So one thing that Christy and I like to encourage people is there's a do not disturb while driving setting this should be on all the phones, at least iPhone, where you can just hit the do not disturb while driving, and it'll send a text whenever you're driving, like, hey, I'm driving, I'll get to this when I get there. It's as simple as that. And then the other thing is, if you're in the car with a friend who's driving, and they get there, they, like, go to look at their phone, Christy will say, like, she'll just grab the phone and be like, hey, I got this, what do you need? I can do it. Because you really, like, you need to step up, because if they crash the car, you might be the one affected. And even if not, like, it's still a car crash. Like, it can all be avoided. And I remember someone even in high school, I think when I was here, getting in a crash because they were distracted. I don't know if it was a cell phone or not, but I'm like a living example of how real it is, guys. It happens, and it probably happens when you're least expecting it. So I want to encourage you, don't be a stat. Make the choice. You know, my story is all about choices, right? I chose to get that helmet. Well, it was kind of forced on me by God, but I got the helmet, and I chose to fight, and I chose to forgive, and I chose all these things. Freya chose to turn her life around after. So she made the bad choice to drive distracted, but then she turned her life around. And I want to encourage you guys that you can make these choices to not drive distracted. It's so much easier than, like, recovering from a spinal cord injury. So, like, you don't really have an excuse. So again, I chose to be brave, to wear a helmet, to not be a victim, and to forgive. And Freya was able to kick her addiction. So I want to leave you. We can do maybe, I don't know what's going on after this. I'll be around if the teachers maybe will tell them if they're allowed to stay. But I want to leave you with this song. And funny enough, this song is actually coming out tomorrow. It's called Lionheart. And it's just, it's kind of become my anthem, but it's not only my anthem. I want it to be your anthem. I want it to empower you that you indeed have the heart of a lion and that you can overcome your obstacles and you can face your challenges. And so, first of all, thank you so much, guys. This has been such a blast talking for all of you and singing. And yeah, I'll be around afterwards if you're allowed to stay. But this is a song called Lionheart.
I have the heart of a lion. There's a spirit inside of my bones that makes me alive. I have a fighting desire. When the darkness is closing in, I'll be the light. Somehow when everything's wrong, I know I'll be alright. Just when my faith is gone, hope will arise. Somehow when I can move on, I find the strength to survive. 'Cause I have a lion heart.
Here we go. The actual recording has a lion roar right there. It's pretty epic.
I may seem weak to the world. I may never be fast or strong as I wanna be.
Drop the pick.
But I am a runner on the inside. Oh, and no one can stop me now. I'm on fire, on fire. Somehow when everything's wrong, I know I'll be alright. Just when my faith is gone, hope will arise. Somehow when I can move on, I find the strength to survive. 'Cause I have a lion heart. Oh, you can do more than you know. Yeah, you can do anything, anything is possible. You can do more than you know. Do you believe? Oh, you can do more than you know. Yeah, you can do anything, anything is possible. You can do more than you know. Do you believe? Oh, yeah.
Wait for it. This last part's for you.
'Cause you have the heart of a lion. There is courage inside of your bones. Don't you believe?
Thank you all so much. It's been such an honor, such a privilege.